As I said before, I was going to give a comparison video of Octane versus Excel. I'm going to use the Flux as comparison, but this is the front shocks. Earlier I'd said the shocks look bigger on the Octane. It did look bigger, but after taking off the body, it's the same shock and spring and preload as the XL Flux. So same shocks. So take that back. Everything is the same, even the shock towers, the way how they do the hinge pin braces on the bulkhead is the same. The Octane has the fuel tank in the middle. The transmission is the same setup as the XL Flux, where the transmission sits outside. Well, the spur gear sits outside the chassis. Same here on the XL Flux. The TVPs are almost identical. Same thickness, same overall design. I'm going to show on this side some differences. So the biggest differences are these holes here. The Octane does not have those holes. Those holes aren't there. I guess you don't need it because the tank is in the position there, and the fact that it doesn't have a regular roll cage like the Flux or the old 5.9. In fact, I don't think you could put a roll cage on this because of where the ESC sits. So that's different. So I think that's the reason why the part number are different. But you could see this cutout right here. That's not in the regular old XL chassis. That cutout is also, it's still here behind the filter. So yeah, the chassis is definitely the same minus those holes. That's the only thing I could find. And obviously this chassis will have holes pre-done for the battery box, where there's no battery box, so no need to make those holes. Yeah, so what else? Well, obviously the big the big 15cc gas engine versus the little 22 kV motor, but this thing is still one of the fastest truck I have stock. But everything else is the same. Dog bones are the same size. I think they're 6 millimeters, I think, thick. Yeah, they're the same size. So all the chassis system is the same. It has the composite bulkhead for the diff. Let's see. Same skid plates. Skid plates are the same. It does come with terrapin tires, which are bigger. I had converted back to street tires on this one, and then I put those tires on this guy here. Let's look at this chassis. I think you've already seen. Everyone knows what this chassis looks like. So you see, it's definitely different than the new truck. It has my daughter's 4.6 in here, and I took out the 5.9. I'm going to use this chassis to break this engine in that I just rebuilt. Yeah, but yeah, and then I put the 8 shock back on here. Took it off that guy there, so he has a big bore now. So, well, the body is definitely wider, but it's the same length. It's also a bit taller as well. It's not shown here, but when you put it on the truck, the body, you know, it's taller as well. The truck is also taller, but the body itself is a little bit taller and wider, as I said. What else? I don't get. If you guys need me to look at anything else, I'll be sure to share this. But this is a comparison of the truck, as I said I'll do. Everything else is the same. I need to put braces, these braces, wire straps on this guy. That's why it's the only one that doesn't have this yet. Has a big pipe, which is very loud. And the benefit of this pipe is that it gives you better performance than the bigger volume black one that looks just like a lawnmower, you know, a lawnmower or a weed whacker. Those are more silent, but it robs performance. So I prefer to keep disturbing the neighbors than to sacrifice performance. But it fits in there pretty good. It's the biggest engine they could stick in this truck also. One of the big issues people have are, you probably read online, let's see if I could find it, these, the setting for the top one is the high speed needle, and the lower one is the low speed needle, and then this is the idle screw. They said never touch the low speed needle, and only turn the high speed needle 124. When this truck first came out, they said 1/16. Then it went to 124. A lot of stuff I saw online, it's best to, if you do it as fine as possible. So probably 132. I have not touched it since I got the truck, so it was set already. So the running video I showed was with this needle setting. So it's running rich right now, but in here, in this assembly right here, this assembly, hold up. In this assembly, there's a flow restrictor and a reed valve that's not on any regular Walboro 688 car, which what this is. This is the car that's in the Baja and most fifth scale lawnmowers. This is just the carb everyone uses for two-stroke basically, and 998 for bigger trucks. But this one is a 688 with a choke around here. This is the difference between the 998 carb and the 688 carb, the choke. But the bigger ones, bigger trucks don't need a flow restrictor. This guy is just 15 cc's. HPI just took the off the shelf, no need to do a new product, carb, and use a flow restrictor. It's basically a flat disc with some holes in it and a reed valve. And that seemed to do the job of the low speed needle, so there's no need to touch that. So you only need to touch the high speed needle. Maybe I should just blank that out, but again, that's more cost. But the key is only turn that high speed needle 132 or 124 each turn. It's not like nitro where you go 1/4. So a lot of guys that got this truck, I think, assumed it tunes like a nitro, and they made a big swing on the tuning of the screw, and then that throws off dialing the tune, and then they become frustrated and all that stuff, and then they overfuel and they fold the plug. Here's another one, folding the plug. Running 25-to-1 gas. So research I did also is ethanol is in all our pumps, 10%. And I work at Cummins. I design fuel systems actually, and we did testing, and we know that ethanol doesn't work well with oil, especially mineral oil. In low pressure and low temperature zones, like in the carb, for example, or when the truck is not running, it forms a very gel-like substance that breaks up in when the flow is high and the temperature is high. But when the fuel sits, it separates and it coagulates like a little sponges. You'll find that stuff over time in the truck when you run it. Once ethanol is in, though it's a lower percentage than what's in diesels, diesels. But for that reason, I only run. I got pump gas, 90% pure gas, no ethanol, and I run full synthetic because I want good film strength. So I run Bel-Ray H1R. Well, the thing with Bel-Ray, it has a high flash point, so it doesn't really burn. It's like our caster inside of our nitro fuel. It just lubricates or cools, or it doesn't break down. So it will make your exhaust a little bit wet, which is okay, but you're lubricating the part, and so again, it has high film strength. So that's the reason why I use the Bel-Ray mixed with the non-ethanol gas. But the other issue people have is so because the truck is not fully broken in, it doesn't get as warm as it should. The oil that they use tends to gel up and coat the foul the plug. So that's another issue. So people would probably tend to have like 3 or 4 plugs as they run it. You know, you change it frequently or clean. The other issue is so when you have the plug not working well because it's fouled up, it tends to tell the CDI I need more juice. There's a resistor in here that some plugs have resistor in the plug, like this plug is called CM6. There's also CMR6. The R means resistors in the plug. This one doesn't have a resistor in the plug. It's the resistor is in this cable set up right here. That resistor could go bad. When it goes bad, it will cause interference with the battery, with the receiver, because the high pulses, the voltage pulses from the CDI, it generates its own noise frequency. So the plug needs that resistor to chop that or truncate that voltage signal to push the frequency into a different zone, so it doesn't interfere with the truck radio frequencies. That could go bad because of either bad part or the fact that CDI is working extra hard because you have a bad plug. It could strain that resistor, so that's another issue people were having. The battery box here, I won't open it because it's a dread. What's in there is two 6-volt nickel metal hydride, the humpack ones. 2 of them are in there, plus the CDI box, and it's a beer to get to, so I won't take it out, but it's hard. One of the things that I don't like about this design is the fact that the battery box is so tiny, and you would think you probably put a Lifey battery in there or a LiPo to control everything, because there's two switches on here, one for the radio for the car and one for the CDI, the ignition system. You have to turn both on and off. So there's 2 different batteries. One runs the car system, and one runs the CDI here. Be nice to have one, and that's a mod I could do, but I'll leave it alone. What else? What else issues people be having? It's hard to see here, but there is a where is it? Oh, the brake is different. Look at the brake setup. It's 3-disc brake, but what I'm talking about here is this guy. This guy, the brake lever system is different, which is this guy. This wire that you see running, where is it? There's a cable here that goes to the front of the engine. It's hard to see, but it fires off of this cable here. This cable here fires off this one my finger is on. It fires off of the timing of the crank, which is underneath here. You can't see it. Sometimes that gets fouled up with oil as well, and it would not find the position of the crank, and then that would throw off the timing, so that would hurt it as well. The clutch is not, it doesn't have a flywheel either. It has a big fan-like device that is used for cooling the clutch. It's a 4-pin clutch, but it's all aluminum. The watch out there is during this truck has a lot of torque. So when people try to make wheelies, they're actually tearing up the clutch, the aluminum clutch. What's common is that one of the pins may fall out, and then you'll be running on 3 clutches, and then it get loose and tears up the rest of them, and then it will just seize. So that's another issue there. I'm thinking of ceramic coating the pipe so it has one shade of color. Definitely not going to change it. I like the sound. Well, I think that's probably long enough. Have a 300cc tank on here. Run time is like 20 minutes. It does the same thing like with nitro. When it's running empty, it want to run away with you on you. This truck has the most potential of wanting to run away. Even when you first start it up, it starts up really rich and it wants to run away, so you have to hold it until it settles down before you start driving. Same thing of when it's when you're running out the tank to be fully to clear all the lines, it will run off on you more than a nitro. So that's also important. It's good to get a kill switch on this guy, like a killer bee or something like that. Okay. That guy, his engine is gonna go out for mod, Nova Rossi engine, and this one is for my daughter. I'm building this brand new from the spares I got, and gets that pink body there for my baby girl. I'm gonna paint the shocks pink for her. All right. Well, let me know if you guys need any other detail, but the Octane so far is running good. At least this one I could say is performing like how it was intended, where they say, oh, just put gas in it and run, and you don't have to mess with tuning. So far it looks like that's the case on this one, and if it really continues to be like that, I would say it's running up to be my favorite truck, because it's just so mean looking. It has this savage durability, and it's loud, and it's like a diesel of the nitro world. You just keep running and running, and it has high torque. Oh yeah, so I forgot. One of the things I was worried about is the transmission, tuning the transmission. I'm glad that this one here, it's a 3-speed, and this one shifts from first, second, third. A lot of people don't get theirs to go to 3rd speed. I'm still running really rich, so I think by the time I lean this thing out, I will be able to hit 3rd all the time. I do hit 3rd right now, but I'm thinking of delaying it a little bit to get more speed, but the transmission is shifting perfectly. So no issues there. I may take it out today for second tank, and maybe I'll try to lead it out. I don't know, maybe, and see how it does.